We're launching into the 2024 season with an underlight spectacle at Sydney Motorsport Park. The TFH Hire Services Cars Australia, Australian XL Series, Australian Production Sports, Australian Super TT and Formula RX8, the excitement is palpable. It's time to fire up the engines as we welcome you to round one of the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series here in Sydney.
Well, welcome here to Sydney Motorsport Park for round one of the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series for 2024. And what a great sight it is to see Sydney Motorsport Park. It will be under lights tonight too with our coverage. 11 turns to get around here this afternoon. It has got a nice cool breeze going across it as well. The clouds have covered up the sun and we've got some fantastic racing conditions to get underway here this afternoon. Welcome everyone who's joined us here for the live coverage of the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series. We do have our Legend Cars Australia qualifying about to get underway as they try and set a time here this afternoon to see where they're going to start off in race one a little bit later on tonight. And these cars are always exciting when you see them out there. Of course, remembering these are these little cars that get around. Of course, the three-cylinder cars, well, they are basically a motorbike engine in them. They're very lightweight. And we just seem to be getting more and more numbers of these cars as they hit the track here as part of the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series. We saw them in 2023. They did a fantastic job. We had them for a couple of rounds there, and we just got to witness the exciting racing that they can do out there on track. The Legend Cars Australia, we'll see how they're going to go. A lot of these cars have just changed over to the brand new water-cooled engines that we see getting around there. Of course, they're a little bit smaller when it comes to the cubic capacity, only 860cc. Compared to the old big boppers, the 1250s, which we have got a few still floating around, but the reliability of these new engines is really, really good as we see a little bit of a brake lock up there, and that looks like that is going to be Lockie Ward, who joins us back in the series as well. We're seeing him, he's a former champion of the series. He's done a lot of things. We know he does a lot of driver training as well, a 2019 Formula Ford champion. It's good to see the 117 back here in the Aussie Legend Cars as well this season. Hopefully he's going to join us all year as we get on board with the car of Lachlan Ward as well. A lot of experience in this, and he's also helping out a number of the drivers out in the field this year who have joined us with some brand new names like Lincoln Pope and Aidan Williams. It's great to have so many people starting to join in as these cars get imported from America, and he's right up on the back of Nathan Prito. Looks like he's going to try and make a move down here. It's probably not going to affect qualifying so much. They'll just be starting to get some temperature into those tyres, and look at him slide the car around. That's what we love about these cars, how much they slide around the track. Ryan Pring, our car out in front there, the 333. Lockie Ward looks like he's going to have a little bit of a go down on the inside here. Remember, it is qualifying for the Aussie Legend Cars. Lachlan Ward has set our number one time at the moment with a 149.037, and he's got himself about 4/10 in front of Sean Tate as well. Shane Tate, and we'll see a couple of bits of movement there as cars start to come around and complete their laps. So it's Ward at the moment, then he goes back to Tate and Melville is our third fastest car out there, and we'll see how we go. Ryan Pring just out in front there in the grey 333 car, a couple up from Lockie Ward, former Australian champion as well. He had just 1 year in the car in 2021, and 2022 he managed to take out the Aussie title. So a great young talent to have there, and swapped over to the brand new water-cooled engine as well this season. Last year he was running the 1250. I spoke with him earlier. He spoke about how different the RPM ranges with the torque comes in, so you really have to have it up around that 9,000 plus RPM to really get the most out of the engine. It was very different from the 1250cc engine. And you see they started, Lockie Ward, he is using so much lock as he slides the car around. We've got the Hi-Tec Drift All-Stars here tomorrow morning as well. They've been out on track earlier today, and I think maybe Lockie Ward could get himself a seat in one of those cars so he keeps that style of driving up. Ryan Pring just out there in front. Qualifying session at the moment. You can see how much input he has to put on the steering wheel when we look at these onboard shots in Lachlan Ward's car. Oh, is he going to get the advantage of the slipstream though as they go down the main straight? Two of them. They'll go past Ryan Pring, 3 wide. It's not even racing, it's qualifying. We've got them 3 wide going down the main straight. This is what we love to see. Billy Finnegan, that is, as he starts to put his mark in as well. Third fastest out there at the moment. Pringle following around. They get a little bit wide there. Might be a different little bit of line. Might have pushed themselves off the end there, just trying with a little bit too much speed. Great to see Finnegan back here as well, the Irishman. It's great having him last year, getting around. Obviously a lot of karting experience. Multiple Irish championships and short oval tracks over there in Ireland, the UK. He's been racing since the age of 10. And yeah, if you get a chance to go and have a chat with him, hopefully his family has got the time to tune in, depending on the time difference over there in Ireland. His old man likes to tune in and watch the race, and great to have the coverage up here on our live stream as well. Don't forget, from 6 p.m. tonight here in Sydney time, we will be going live on SBS and Fox. So we can get you all the coverage through to 9:30 p.m. tonight. It's a big afternoon of racing here for the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series. We've got the Australian production sports cars coming out shortly. The Formula RX8 is their inaugural round as the newly formed series. Then we'll see the Australian XL Series, followed by the Australian Super TT and stock cars who have come out to race together this weekend. That'll be part of our live stream. Our TV coverage will start off, of course, with our TFH Hire Services Muscle Car Series, framed by Hi-Tec Steel Framing, as they will come out at 6 p.m. to get their racing underway. Of course, they'll have their qualifying starting right there at 6. And I can't wait to see how that all unfolds. We just had their practice session. They are very close, and we're going to see a number of drivers, I think, that will be within about 3 or 4 tenths of a second of each other. And it's not much different here when it comes to the Legend Cars Australia. It's down to under 2 tenths of a second there between Lachlan Ward now and Tate. There's not much in it at all. They are on separate ends of the track at the moment. Oh no, Tate just up on our screen there as he's putting a move on. How will he go as he ends this lap? Oh, he's going to get a little bit closer there. It's down to 0.13 of a second there for Shane Tate. He is chasing down Lockie Ward, who has set the number at the moment. Let's have a look at this as they duck down. Everyone takes a slightly different line as they go into turn number 2. It's big, high speed coming out of 1. Some people like to, I suppose, go more for a V shape as they head into the corner with a little bit of steer and a tight left. Other people like to take it nice and smooth and try and maintain the speed around the corner, but we'll wait and see how that unfolds, as there'll be a lot of braking opportunities there throughout the race to see who can really dive down the inside. Nathan Prieto doing a great job there in the 8.4 media car. Well, he's just at the back there at the moment. He is currently sitting in 7th fastest position with a 149.7. It's not too far off the pace. He's less than a second behind. Watch as they come around here though. Tate, he is looking for that number 1 qualifying position. It's a short, sharp 15-minute qualifying session here for our Legend Cars Australia. It's not a lot of time really to stamp their mark on exactly where they want to be on the starting grid here tonight. Oh, Lachlan Ward slides the car out. Oh, there we go. Billy Finnegan has to bring the car back onto the track. He's really reaching those outer limits here at Sydney Motorsport Park. Oh, a lot of ripple strip there too as he comes up, uses the curb. Moving around in the car. He's had a fair bit of work to do on this today as they come onto the main straight out of that final turn number 11. And here we go. Bit of a slipstream. Let's see how they can do it. Well, he's going to pull out on Finnegan. These little 3 cylinders there, they really need to wind up. The RPM creeps up well past 9,000 RPM and Ward can't quite get there. Wow, qualifying session. These guys are racing basically already, and it's only qualifying. Dylan Thomas is about to join me here in the commentary box, who's used to driving cars a little bit larger than these and quite a bit more cubic inches, I think, Dylan.
Yeah, that's just hopped out of the TA2 and actually drove one of these at Wakefield Park a few years back, so have had some experience in these and an Aussie race car, so quite versed in the difference between the pair, but yeah, Lockie Ward's doing a great job here. Probably, you know, obviously a series champion former, and also did pretty well in the Aussie race car. So continuing that form.
Yeah, he's got a couple of young guns here who've just joined the series who's doing some driver training with over the weekend. So he's been busy. I know he's had the problems with the starter motor. He's had the tail shaft vibration. So he's swinging spanners. He's doing driver training and he's out there setting the fastest lap so far, 148.57 at the moment. So Lockie Ward is the man to beat as we keep an eye on our screen. Shane Tate there. Hogan's now got himself up into 3rd position there. So that's a nice run there from Rob Hogan there. All thanks to Bloke Kitchens and Joinery and Lawn Rescue, City Country Vac.
Yeah.
Raced go-karts for a lot of his life. 24 years on and off he's been racing, so, you know, I don't want to call him a veteran.
Still a young fella.
Still a young
mate.
fella, really. I mean, considering a lot of these guys started racing at 10 or 12 years old, that's not late in life.
It certainly isn't. And, you know, they're all doing a good job too. And these cars are quite physical to drive. It's they're off a speedway background, so, you know, they're a little bit rural in terms of your seating position. They've got the speedway steel sort of chair. So, yeah, you can add a little bit of pad into it and whatnot, but... yeah, they're not the most comfortable things in terms of, and they're pretty primitive in a race car perspective as well. So, but you do get the airflow through, so a little bit cooler. Yeah, great little things. They move around a lot. Obviously, a motorbike engine, little stick shift. So
low to the ground too.
Yeah,
it's extremely low.
Yeah, you feel everything as well with being that low and being, you know, quite a rigid car. You feel everything. So. I thought I would have seen Scotty Morgan a bit further towards the front as well. He was fighting for the champion. In fact, I don't even see him on the board. So same with last year's champion, Brendan Hourigan. He's also a little bit further down than what you would think he would be. So
yeah, maybe they're just saving a banker. They might be sandbagging. Maybe they're just looking for some sectors,
with 42 seconds to go, you better start pulling them out.
Yeah, you better be on this lap. We've got the final lap to go here in qualifying. Really, they'll get to come across the finish line, and if they've still got time, and then they'll get to finish the lap they are on. So we'll wait and see. These guys are around the back end of the track too as they come up to turns 5 and 6. There we go. You just turn around there. You can see how drifting's been on this morning. We'll have that coverage for you tomorrow on our live stream on the Hi-Tec Drift All-Stars page.
You got the Duckworth boys in there as well. I thought there's another Duckworth that used to be pretty synonymous in Aussie cars, and I'm just wondering if they're related. And Hourigan's in the pits now, so in 12th position. We would have thought we would have seen a bit further from him up the order, and yeah, he's in 12th position in the pits, so he ain't going to improve.
The thing with I think with the Aussie cars, with the Legend cars, is that anything can happen with them. We've seen them where they'll spin out, they'll only lose 2 positions, and there's like 10 of them in a pack. It's absolutely insane to watch them in racing form. I mean, in qualifying, we've seen them just sort of spread themselves out a little bit. You see Mark Duckworth there, the number 10, still out in our track, so we'll see if we can record a little bit.
Look at the slipstream. See the slipstream there that was just received? So these cars are renowned for a slipstream. So what happens is you follow the car closely in front, and about halfway down the straight, it's like a little slingshot rubber band, and if you get it timed right, it can basically slingshot you past, and you'll get an extra 7 or 8 k's an hour down the straight, and that can, you know, in some cases can give you the best part of near a second if you get a double toe. So these boys will definitely be looking for a toe. So running by themselves there, pretty hard. I think that's the 87 there, coming through for his final, or is it the 97? Bit hard to see off that shot.
Yeah. And they've all changed their liveries this year too. Ryan Pring there, he it looked like Ryan Pring. No, it wasn't actually. I thought the 333, but no.
So he's Hogan.
Martin, who's gone in the silver livery. Yeah, but Hogan out here now. Now, he's up there. He's in 5th position at the moment. He's not too far off. I mean, he could go up a couple of positions there with 0.3 of a second.
Yeah, he's into the pits. I'm looking on the sector. You got Duckworth. Oh, Duckworth just went a little bit faster. So, yeah, that's Bruce Duckworth. Oh, we've got the 81 off on the side here. So,
yeah, that'll be Melville there, unfortunately for him. That's Scotty Melville in the Anytime Fitness Cessnock and Mayfield car. And hopefully, you know, he was 2nd place in the Masters last championship season. So, it's unfortunate to see the car up there. Hopefully it's something very minor. I suppose one of the great things about the Legend Cars Australia is there's a spare parts van sitting out the back, so they can basically go shopping.
Yep. Oh, well, that's the end of qualifying here as well. So Lockie Ward takes the pole position by just 2.5 tenths over Tate and Finnegan in 3rd place there. So all in the 48s, those 3. So pretty competitive times, really, for a little, you know, there's two types. There's 2 categories, I believe, in here as well. I think you got the water cooled and then the air cooled as well. So I think there might be 2 classes that are going on there too.
Yeah. So I mean, they are all changing over to the new engine slowly. Lockie Ward takes out number 1, Shane Tate 2nd, Billy Finnegan will round out our top 3. Then it's Nathan Preto did a nice job to hold into 4th position. Robert Hogan in 5th, Ryan Pring in 6th, Scotty Melville in 7th, Ben Goodridge in 8th, Mark Duckworth and Bruce Duckworth will be 9th and 10th on the grid when we start later on tonight. And it goes back to Hardy Martin and Brendan Hourigan. Stuart Bond and Lincoln Pope will be in 14th. Now that's a brand new name when it comes to the Aussie Legend cars. Josh Hourigan in 15th, Aidan Williams 16th, Chris Spicer, then Darren Bradley, Asker Sendel, and Matty Bond will be in 20th position after qualifying here this afternoon for the Legend Cars Australia. So that was a nice little 15-minute qualifying session for them as they head back into the pits, and this is just on board Lachlan Ward's car. But yeah, slowly I reckon we're probably 2/3 of the field now running on the new 860 160cc water-cooled engine with the fuel injection, so a little bit different. And some of the drivers who've changed those engines in the off-season said, it's great, now we've got this dash. All of a sudden, we've got electronic dash, we can see everything, we can change the views, have a look at things. So it's pretty good out there at the moment.
I think also they run a bit more weight, the water-cooled cars. So I think they're a bit heavier than the old air-cooled. So you get a bit of gain, but you've got a bit of penalty with power to weight.
So. A bit of a lead trophy?
Yeah. So
somehow it goes and they go a little bit quicker. But, yeah, the RPM range is very different for the drivers, where the torque comes in compared to the 1250 there, that it comes in a really low RPM range. They've really got to push the RPM out on those smaller engines. But, look, doing a great job. Can't wait to see them racing a little bit later on tonight. Of course, the Legend cars do some fantastic racing out there throughout the series. And look, we've got a couple of cars coming out on track at the moment. It's going to be the Australian Production Sports cars, and we caught up with Andrew Tudor a little bit earlier today.
Great to be here at Sydney Motorsport Park. Andy Tudor. We're here with the Australian Production cars, and you've got a wonderful car, an Audi R8. I mean, it's all in the name. It's a fast car. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, look, it's a dream come true to own such a car. So I've only had it for sort of just over 12 months. Ran it. I'm from Perth, Western Australia, so we've run it for a season over there. And then a couple of mates and I decided that we should give the sort of Australian Production Sports a go, and sent the cars over east and to Melbourne initially, and Sandown was round one a couple of months ago, and then this is sort of round two for us. So it's a really exciting category.
Opposite ends of the country, isn't it? Perth compared to Sydney. I mean, there's got to be some people who help you get here. Of course, Pit Lane Clothing on board the car.
Look, yeah, new sponsorship with them. Known Pit Lane Clothing guys for a number of years, and they support a lot of race categories, and a lot of the clothing that you see up and down Pit Lane does come from them. So, we just got chatting, and it was seemed to be a good fit to have sort of some quality clothing brand and put it onto the Audi R8. So it's been so far so good.
Coming from Western Australia, have you had a chance to be at Sydney Motorsport Park before?
No, that's all new. It's all new. So it's we've just had a warm up, which has been fantastic, and I looked at plenty of footage, obviously, on the YouTube of different cars going around and around, and I've been watching it for years. So, but it's always slightly different when you're out there. But baptism of fire, as they say. But so far,
you're bringing the Audi to a fire. A lot of Porsches here this weekend. What's it like being around so many GT cars?
Look, it is just genuinely a dream come true. You know, you watch these things, you work up through the categories. You know, I've been involved with motorsport sort of 15 years and in different cars, and then the opportunity came to purchase this off a guy in Perth, so I knew the car, and so it just seemed to make sense to get into it. And you know, this was like the pinnacle of cars that I've always wanted. And suddenly you're sort of going, well, holy, you know, I'm in it, and I'm racing it at Sydney Motorsport Park. Production Sports is very much around, you know, gentlemen drivers. You know, we all own the cars. You know, it's race with your mates. We come here, you know, on the start of the weekend. We all want to put them in the transporter on a Sunday night and send them home ready for the next round. And you know, there's Production Sports in Victoria, New South Wales, and then we sort of combined to have this Australian category. So it's exciting. And I've just said to everybody that's got a car that's sitting in their garage, you know, come on out and have some respectable, fun driving, and race with your mates.
I can't wait to see what this category is going to bring us throughout the year.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, it was great to catch up with Andy down there in the pits a little bit earlier. These are some really fast cars, Dylan. I mean, these are out of the box fast. There's a lot of GT3 cars there. I mean, we've got Porsche after Porsche after Porsche. Then look at that, the Audi R8. I mean, that is an impressive car. I mean,
you've got the Lamborghini as well.
I mean, these are bucket item, you know, cars that you see up on posters on your walls. Yep. You know, that's what kids do nowadays. Cars like this up there.
Absolutely, and some cars they probably haven't seen before, like the Mark IIs up there as well. That's a really good bit of kit. I actually drove the original Mark I's when they were first out, and that's like a proper car, proper race car, purpose built. Feels good around you. So and these cars are setting great times. You know, they're in the low 30s, like 34s in practice too. So you know, pretty good times to be belting around at the Sydney Motorsport Park in a prod sports car. As you say, a lot of Porsches. So this is a 3-round series that these boys are running. They've got around here at Sydney Motorsport Park, around at Queensland Raceway, and I believe they've just secured to go for their final and third round at the Phillip Island Magic event. So, and they're pretty stoked about getting back on the island from a couple of boys I spoke to. So, yeah, pretty exciting to see a 3-round championship for these guys. So we'll see who does well. I mean, I think the guy who finished first last year, first in the Vic State Series was Daniel Reynolds. He finished first down there in Victoria a couple of weeks back. And the guy who ran first in the series last year, I think, was Andy Tudor from WA, if I get my information correct. So
he's done a fair bit of travel over here too. I mean, what I like about this is a bit of a gentleman's race as well. Like, the guys aren't here to try and bang these panels up on these cars. They're an expensive car.
Yes.
But they're out here having some fun, you know. So it's for all those people that might come to the track days, those guys that have done a number of track days. They've got one of these great cars in their shed, and it's like, well, why don't you come race with us and have some fun?
Absolutely. And I was speaking to, I think it was Andy Tudor. No, it wasn't. It was Andy Hall, who puts a lot of this together. And he basically said that he runs a little workshop down there in Victoria, and he prepares probably nearly half this field in the terms of cars. He brings both Tim Wolf and Andy Tudor's car over from WA, looks after their cars. And, yeah, he was saying that it's exactly that. There's almost like a bit of a boys' club in there that says, hey, we're here to have fun, we're here to race hard, but we don't want contact. It's not a place where we want to go and spend unnecessary money. It's a fun racing category, which is actually a cool place to go because motorsport is expensive. I can attest to. So it's really cool to have a place where you can come drive your nice exotic cars, race hard, but also know that you're not going to have people just in your door every second corner racing for a championship.
Yeah, it's not all about being a seasoned race car driver as well. We know some of these cars have ABS in them, some don't. I mean, you see the original GT3 Porsches, they were a non-ABS. You really had to wrestle the car around there. But now, with the introduction of this category, you can also have some cars with ABS, which just probably makes it a little bit easier for those who didn't start when they were 10 years old. Later on in life and probably, come across some funds and thought, let's have a go at some of this racing. A little bit of talent there, and big mock up there
on a warm-up lap,
yeah,
which is easy to do as well, particularly on the front tyres. It takes about 3 or 4 laps. So if you watch Porsche Carrera Cup, you'll actually notice that when they do a quali run, it's normally like the 3rd, 4th, 5th lap that is the fastest lap. So I actually I had the privilege of racing in the Pro-Am in these cars, the 997 and the 991 as well, Cup car. And you literally do your first lap at 80%, your second lap at 95, and then your third lap you'd actually extend it. So really hard to get tyre temperature up, particularly on that warm-up lap. So.
A little bit different to what we're used to seeing out of something like the TO2 muscle cars and all that, where you're going to get that temperature as quick as you can, just try and get your lap out early. We saw that in some of their practice sessions early. It's lap 2 and 3 where they're running the numbers. So different car to get their head around here. Great onboard shots too. I really like having these cars on Andy Hall's car too, in the Porsche 991 Cup car. Yeah,
and you'll find with the Porsche as well, it's a car that they'll set up to be quite understeery at the early part of a race, and because it uses a lot of rear tyres. So what will happen is you'll have a lot of rear grip in the Porsches, and for the first part of the race or quali, you'll have a fair bit of push because you've got like the rear wheels driving you forward. And then that middle section, you got the sweet spot, and the car feels beautiful. And at the end, the rear tyres are toast, and it starts sliding all over the place. So it's the only car I've ever driven where you've had understeer perfect and oversteer all in one session. So they're an interesting car, but if you can try and expand that window of beautiful in the middle, maybe have a lap or 2 of understeer to start with and a lap or 2 at the end with a bit of oversteer, that's the window you're trying to look for.
Yeah, well, not big long-distance races this weekend. It's probably going to be favourable on their side. We've still got 11 and a half minutes left in this qualifying session, and it looks like Andy Hall's going to set the pace. He hasn't really put a time down there at the moment as they come around for their first flying lap.
Yeah, I think you'll find, like you can hear on his throttle pickup, it's still building phase at this point. So it will be like the 3rd and 4th lap that you'll see they'll actually set the time. So he'll come on there, he'll ease the throttle on because he won't be wanting to smoke those tyres up. And the worst thing that you can do early on in this session is to put a flat spot on the tyre, because then all of a sudden you've got this big vibration and you can't brake deep. You'll have no confidence in the car because you'll be waiting to lock it up again.
This would probably have to be up there with the TO2 muscle cars, maybe a little bit quicker down that main straight though, because these cars have got a power to weight ratio pretty good. Lamborghini, Porsche, they're all there. They're flying down, and we know that turn number 1 really is a left-hander that you just want to feather the throttle and try and carry as much speed down into turn number 2. So they're going to be going really fast down this main straight.
So Joshy Haynes just set a 32 in the practice session there. Now, I know he had a exceptionally good set of tyres on. I won't say they were green, but they may have been green. But But a 32, like there's probably only 5 guys in TA2 that have set anything sub 33. So that's a seriously impressive time. So we in the TA2 we do on a green set of tyres. You'll do about 217 k's through turn 1. So you're probably about 250 at the end of the straight, and then about 217 through turn 1 when you're committed. These guys here, because they've got more aero, they'll actually be able to carry a greater turn 1 speed, and same for turn 7 before the hairpin, and even in this final little complex where you can see Andy Hall coming through here now. That little turn in there, it really unstabilises the car without aero, and that rear wants to sort of dance on you a little bit. So so these particularly like the Lamborghini, the newer Porsches have got a little bit more aero as well. And same with the Mark car's got a fair bit of aero as well. So the aero definitely helps their corner speed. Their top speeds may not be as high as some of the V8s that we drive in TA2 and the likes of supercars or whatever, but definitely their corner speed would be up on us.
Definitely have the adrenaline pumping. It's not like it's going to be boring in the cockpit there at the moment. As now we're starting to see some lap times there. Hall's now put down a 134.5, 137 for Vallejo, who we saw lock up those brakes a little bit early. So those front tyres might be hurting a little bit later on in this qualifying session. We'll wait and see if they can get that through. They've got to see a Mustang out there taking the boys on. It's not what I associate when it comes to thinking about Australian production sports cars, really, but it's great to have the Roush Mustang out there doing some laps as well.
The other thing that's interesting, in fourth place there, you've got Casper Tressida. So we've seen forever Paul Tressida running around in saloon cars and utes and whatever. Pretty much everything under the sun, Paul Tressida's driven, and he's always been fast. So I think, if I'm correct, I'm believing this is the son of Paul Tressida, Casper Tressida. So good to see, the next generation coming on and doing a pretty good job as well. So, and Glenn Townsend there towards the rear of the field. I expect him to go a little bit better as the time goes on. A lot of experience, particularly in Lotuses. From what I understand, this is his first weekend in the Porsche. He did do a test day here, I think, in the last couple of weeks. So, I spoke to him a bit earlier, and he was a bit nervous at how he would go in the Porsche, but he's only at a 50. Oh, he just done a 46. So I think he'll still go quite a bit better than that too. So I think we'd expect him in the higher 30s. So there's more time to come from Townsend for sure.
Yeah, to see Forbes there has set a good sector 1 there, a 27.59, fastest we've seen him.
Ex-V8 supercar driver Forbes, Rodney Forbes. So. Yeah. He's been around. He's done a lot. He's probably in his mid-50s about now. Rodney Forbes. He probably wouldn't like me saying that, but I'm not that far behind, so I can probably say it. But so Rodney Forbes, been around forever in motor racing, in supercars for a lot of years. There goes the Mark car in a second now as well to knock him back. So they're still in the 34s. I would have expected to see. I mean, they did 34s, 34.3 in practice. So I would have expected to see maybe like a 30. No, I would have said 32. I was about to be kind and say 33, but I would have expected to see a 30. There's a 33. As we speak, Forbes goes fastest, and it's probably still working. We've still got 7 minutes to go. I wouldn't be surprised to see a 32.
I think the sweet spot's coming in about now.
Yeah, so now you should probably see some purples coming up. Plenty of greens on the screen at the moment. So, we'll see. Tim Wolf just did a purple middle sector and did his personal best with a 35.4. So to do a purple middle sector is actually not bad, because that's all the twisty technical bits in the middle there. So, I don't know. I wonder if Tim Wolf is struggling a little bit he's actually in the GT3 Cup car, so that's one of the older ones. So he might be a little bit down on top end speed as well. So
we are going to see these come out in about a 30-minute race later on tonight when we get over to our live coverage after 6 p.m. So, they've got to find that sweet spot on the tyres. 3 minutes left in this one. It's a rather short one. Here we go.
Some purple's coming out now.
Yeah, here we go.
Andy Hall
starting to get a bit quicker.
Oh, he didn't quite get him, Andy Hall. It was just a 8/100th of a second.
Oh, that is close, isn't it? That's
But Forbes is about to go quicker again. Purple first sector.
That is so close, but they're both in the 133s.
About a second off in the second sector though, so that won't help.
He's not quite as quick in that first sector. We'll wait and see how that goes, but everyone else is starting to get a little bit of a movement. You're exactly right, aren't you? They really find that sweet spot after a number of laps here. With the last few minutes of qualifying, they're going to get a couple more laps.
Yep, plenty of green sectors still on the board here, so pretty much everybody's still got a green. Plenty of green sectors on their card at the moment, so everyone still will be improving. Yes.
They've just got to get around and get over that start-finish line before that timer runs out to get themselves another lap in. I mean, these guys are probably going to get a couple in. They really push themselves on. There we go, to number 27 now coming up with Reynolds.
Daniel Reynolds.
Yes, he's getting around and getting a stands out the pink Porsche, doesn't it?
It does. It certainly does. I'd be interested to see why something might be going on with Richard Gardner. He's just pitted. He's in the Lamborghini. It used to be run by Wall Racing. It's these days, I think it's run by Gary Manel and Manel Motorsport. But that's a little bit off the pace there. He's only done a 159. I mean, that's slower than a Toyota 86. So, a Lamborghini should be pulling his finger out. So there's obviously, and here they are on screen now having a look at it. So I suggest there's some sort of problem going on with this car because, it's 25 seconds off the pace. So there's a fair bit of work to be done there.
It's looking like that, isn't it, when you look down there and see how they're crawling through the car at the moment and just making some changes there and checking everything out. Glenn Townsend up on our screen at the moment in the Better Marine Porsche 997.
And he gets down to a 42.0. So I said I'd expect to see him in a high 39. So he's still not quite there yet. Forbes have got 2 purple sectors coming up, so he's in the last sector here. Let's see if he betters that time and gets that 32 that I was expecting to see. So here he is on.
Is he going to let you down if he doesn't? Like a little bit, just maybe.
Well, maybe you can give him. I mean,
You're looking for a seat after the TO2, are you? You're looking for a seat next round, maybe.
Mate, I've always got my hand up to drive cool cars. So here we go. He just did a 33.0, so ever so close. He's got another lap to go though as well. There's still a minute to go, or now 59 seconds as we speak. So everyone's probably on their last flying lap here. Still some green sectors, but a few less. So let's see what we can do. Some of the drivers may have done a cool down lap and let their tyres sort of recharge and then go again as well. So the Mark car's got a green first sector. It's still probably 6/10 off, but it's probably looking like it's an improvement for him as well. Who else is on a sector?
Who's on one?
So David Vello's he's on a lap. He's looking to improve, and he's got a bit of time to make up. He's got 1.4 seconds to the guy in front, so he's 2/10 off him in the first sector, so he's not too far away. Andy Tudor's also got a green first sector, and he's not that far from the guy in front, so a little bit of work to do. Glenn Towns has just done a personal best second sector, so he's looking like he could improve as well.
Andy Tudor's on there. He's got to watch out. He's got the 85 there, the Mustang chasing him down at the moment. I mean, it is qualifier, remember that, because Nick Manikos in the independent battery, Tim Automotive, Mark
just got held up going around that last corner there, so he actually had not a great middle sector anyway, so I don't think that cost him on a good lap, but that last corner didn't help him. Love to see the flames coming out of the side.
How good is that going to be under lights? Oh, that is going to be phenomenal.
Look at it.
Always love it, and once the brake rotors are glowing and everything else that goes with it, does it get much better under lights? I mean, you've been out there. I mean, it is lit up really well here at Sydney Motorsport.
Yeah, it is.
Do you even know it's night time in the car?
Yeah, you do, because it's a different feel. So, like when you drive it and it's night, you got to remember to turn your dash lights down, because if you don't, that just reminds me. I better remind the boys to turn my dash lights down.
Send them a message. Quick.
So, you got to. But your dash lights are like flashing like so bright at you. You're like, it's actually quite distracting to start with. You really adapt quite quickly in any car anyway. But yeah, you still feel the darkness around you, and it's a completely different feel to daylight. So and it's also cooler, and the car likes that. So the car always has a bit more performance of an evening as well. So that's always exciting.
Well, here we go.
Dan Reynolds just moved up a spot.
Run and done here for our Australian production sports cars. Some of our cars will come around and finish off their last chance to lay a number down. Forbes currently sitting up to number one, a 133.047. That's his the time to beat. Andy Hall right behind him in second with a 133.7. Going to beat that though. He's not going to get down there in time.
Not a bad last lap though, 34.4. It's only a few tenths off of his PB of a 33.7. So, there's 3 guys in the 33. So that's at least puts it encouragement for some good racing coming up tonight.
It's different in race conditions. You can be the fastest person out there, but you see someone in the rear vision mirror, you start to get a little bit nervous, you make a little mistake. You've got to do this lap after lap for 30 minutes tonight. But let's have a look at how it all ended for the Mobil 1 Australian production cars. In qualifying session, it was Rodney Forbes there at our number 1, followed by Andy Hall, Casper Tracida, Nick Mantikos, Timmy Wolf in 5th position, John Papatonio in 6th, and it was David Fellow in 7th, Dan Reynolds in 8th, Andrew Smith in 9th, and Glenn Townsend will round out our top 10, just under 9 seconds behind our number 1 there, Andy Tudor came through in the Audi R8 in 11th, and it was Ken Christie and Richard Gartner in the 13th position. Unfortunately for Gartner, I think we will see him move through. They were looking at that car down in the pits, weren't they? So there's a little bit of work to do there for the Lamborghini. But look, the laptops are out. There's a lot of talking going on, so I'm sure we will see an improvement from him come race conditions. I sort of expect it from a car like that as well. It's going to be glued to the track. But next up, it's the inaugural round for this newly formed Formula RX8, sponsored by TFH Hire Services, who is they're really proud throughout the series this weekend. I mean, we're seeing them everywhere. They're in part of the TA2 series now as well. We've seen a TFH RX8 out there, which I believe might be a relative there who he sponsored it coming out.
Well, it's not one of my relatives. Surname Thomas. There seems to be there's actually I think in the XLs there's a Thomas as well.
Yes.
No, sorry, in the RX8 Cup, which is just coming out here now, there's a Diesel Thomas. Interestingly, my son goes, my dog's called Diesel. My son goes, oh look, Diesel's out here. so we've got a bit of a sweet spot for Diesel Thomas today. We've got a bit of support. Let's go.
Let's go. All right, Formula RX8 coming to you very shortly. But earlier today we saw Wade Ornger catch up with Todd Hazelwood, who's here this weekend racing in the TA2 Muscle Car Series.
Todd Hazelwood, welcome to the Hi-Tec Oil Super Series and the TFH Hire TA2 Muscle Car Series, framed by Hi-Tec Steel Framing. It's good to have you here, mate. How did this all happen?
Yeah, thanks, Wade. Yeah, it's great to be here at Sydney Motorsport Park and obviously part of the team here at TFH Racing. Obviously with our bit of a rocket ship here behind me with our TA2 product, but yeah, it really come up along a bit of a last minute deal. Obviously Brett gave me the phone call and said, hey, do you want to go racing at Sydney? I was originally meant to be going to New Zealand with the team Erebus Motorsport, and then yeah, my plans changed. So yeah, great to be having my backside trackside and looking forward to getting amongst it.
Todd, you had an excellent build up to this. Running last weekend at Phillip Island and running a podium in this car, top three all weekend. So to roll into here, you've got to feel confident.
Yeah, exactly. No, we've got confidence up our sleeve and certainly getting more and more used to, I guess, the challenges of these cars. They are a bit unique to what I'm used to in the supercar land. So certainly trying to understand what the car wants from a setup point of view. And we're starting to now get a bit of a, I guess, toolbox of operation of things that we can play with and make the car switch on. But yeah, Phillip Island last weekend was a great challenge. And I think what we learnt last weekend is certainly going to help us at Sydney here this weekend.
So Todd, supercars are phenomenal with grip, with performance, with the way they squat, with the way they brake. How do you compare this?
These cars are light and day to a supercar. They don't have the downforce, they don't have the braking capability, and they certainly don't have the grip. But to be honest, it makes the cars really enjoyable to drive. And I think the byproduct of that, the racing, is super intense. It literally is door to door. You don't have to worry about aero wash as much as like you would in a supercar. So yeah, the byproduct is entertaining racing, nose to tail the whole way through. And you know, we get a little bit of brake fade. The tyres get a little bit slippery towards the end. And certainly with this, you know, this course surface, as we all know at Sydney, we're going to be managing the tyres over the course of the 4 races. So it's going to be a fascinating weekend.
Mate, you're a great story. A young kid that had dreams of doing exactly what you're doing. Has that little kid gone away, or is he just a bit more of a mature guy that wants it all?
I'm still a big kid at heart, don't get me wrong. I still love my racing. I love my cars. I'm just a motorsport car enthusiast, and that'll never change. And you know, one thing my parents always said, never forget where you come from, and you know, still trying to make sure I don't get distracted from where I come from as well. It's a big thing for me and who I believe in, who I want to be, and yeah, hopefully that never changes.
Sydney Motorsport Park, finally, as a circuit. What experience do you have here? What do you love about it? What's the challenge?
I love this track. I've got a lot of cool memories. Back in all the way 2013 was my first laps here in a Formula 3 car. I got a round win, and it's always been kind to me here. I actually had my first supercar podium here in the COVID year of 2020 when I was running with Brad Jones Racing as well. So lots of fun memories. Done a million laps around here, so there's no excuses for me to not go well this weekend, I think.
Todd, thanks for your time, and thanks for using the term aero wash.
My pleasure, Wade. Good to chat.
Yeah, great for Todd Hazelwood to be joining the TFH Hire Services Muscle Car Series, sponsored, framed by Hi-Tec Steel Framing here this weekend. So it's great to have him on board, and we did see what he did in the Trans Am car last weekend. So he really pushed some of our competitors, I think, a little bit further. But he's got a lot of names there, though, in practice that just got him to the pipped him to the post there when it comes to time. So I think he's got his work cut out for him here this weekend as part of the TO2 Muscle Car Series. So we'll just have get our Formula RX8 cars are making their way out on the track. Of course, they've got a qualifying session coming up, another 15-minute session for them. Now, this is a newly formed series, and look, we spoke with Justin Lewis a little bit earlier on. They've got 26 cars here this weekend, and the only thing stopping him getting a 30-car field is basically building them. They just need to build them quicker.
Jesus, it's impressive when a new series rocks up with 25 cars. So I'm very, very impressed to see that. This series RX8 Cup is a great initiative. It's a great place for young drivers to get in, learn the racecrafts of a race car, rear-wheel drive. Not overly fast, but you've got all the setup techniques of a big car, all the way up to supercars. You've still got to, manage oversteer, understeer, and learn how to drive the cars really well. So, great entry-level category, good cost-effective racing, and when you've got the amount of numbers you've got there in a one-way class, it's always great racing.
And I think it's like you say, it's just some of these guys, some of the names out there, of course, we see Justin Lewis is out there, but his brother was a former production car winner. It wasn't production car, sorry, it was one of the Super TTs or something like that. He was a former national winner of that. So sometimes, as you go on in life, you want to do a bit less work on the car, so you still enjoy being out there racing, but you don't want to be working on it every last moment you got there. Is Terry Lewis up on our track at the moment there with the Road of Motion on the side. You don't want to be working on the cars 24/7, so probably a little bit less maintenance on these cars. Money-wise and cost-effectiveness, it's probably easy to get out here from RX-8 model cars. 13B on board, basically. You go and grab yourself an RX-8 from an auction that's been somewhere. Maybe you're lucky enough to get one off Marketplace at the right price, and you can turn them into a race car pretty easily. Just take as much out of them as you possibly can, put a roll cage in them, and you're almost ready to go. I mean, obviously you can put the adjustable suspension and things like that into it.
Well, I think it's all control. I think that's all control everything. So, which keeps everything nice and close. There's a couple of guys in here really interesting to watch. I mean, Brock Payne coming over from the rival series, if you would like to call it that, from the original RX8 Cup. And he was very fast in there, and he's been fast this morning in both the warm-up and in practice, the practice session. So, he'll be threatening for the pole. The other one that I think is a sneaky sleeper is Steve Devijak. He's in third place. He used to drive a Commodore. He would do fun racing. I saw him do a lot of time attacks, not a time attack, but more like super sprint stuff. And he was always really, really fast. So a steerer that I actually, have seen around the traps over the years that I think will surprise a few people, and he's probably not a name that most people would know. So I'd be expecting him to be in the top 5.
Yeah, that's it. Well, look at the Silvestro out there as well, who did quite well in the previous years and series before. And I'm interested to see how Rob Bowden goes as well this weekend. He's normally running in a little under 2-litre BMW when it comes to sort of production cars or Super TT racing. But this year he's managed to get himself into an RX-8 car, and we'll see how he goes in the Formula RX-8 series. And he gave it a bit of a go. I think he was looking for some sponsors. It looks like he's got them on board to keep him going as well. And it's starting to, when you go and speak to him, it's starting to challenge the driver, because when you come from those other categories where you got an under 2-litre, over 2-litre, people are spread apart, you might be racing faster cars, and all of a sudden now you're given a car with the same engine, the same tune, you've got everything that's the same to work with. So now it comes down to, how you set the car up and how fast really you want to drive it.
Yep, and you know what, and Sydney Motorsport Park is a circuit where a driver needs to make a difference. I mean, turn 1 in these little cars is pretty committed. I mean, you want to try and wash off as little speed as you can. And I know, you got young Ayrton Felipe in the Valentini Rossi inspired number 46, which I know he's a big motorsport guy. He's actually got a little podcast called Grassroots Racer, and he's been doing that since he was about 12 years old. Interviewing grassroots racers from way back. He had me on his podcast, I don't know, 6-7 years ago. So cool to see a young bloke from Victoria so passionate about motorsport, and he did a bit of Formula V racing, and now in Victoria, and now he's moving on to try some other stuff. Never been to Sydney Motorsport Park, and I was speaking to him a bit earlier. Well, good to see Diesel Thomas there move up 5 spots. But yeah, speaking to Ayrton Felipe a little bit earlier, he was a bit intimidated by turn 1, and it's I had a bit of a chat to him about some braking markers and even just the car setup. So, for an example, turn 1, right? You come in there and it's really fast. If you get off the gas, the back of the car pitches up as you turn in, and it wants to rotate the rear end on you. So what you want to do is you actually want to carry a bit of throttle through turn 1, because when you carry a little bit of throttle through turn 1, what it does, it keeps the rear planted. You also get a little bit of drive turn as well. So it helps you turn, it keeps the rear of the car nice and loaded, and therefore you're able to carry more speed. You know, so rather than being scared of the corner, you've got to drive the corner. But if you don't drive the corner's scary.
You've got to own the corner.
Yeah,
you've really got to take it to the limits of these cars. You see Justin Lewis out there in the Yellow Express RX-8. He's currently our number 1 qualifier at the moment.
47.3.
So he's about 7/10 faster than the rest of the field at the moment.
And who's second? Who did I say?
Oh.
Who did I say to have a watch for?
Oh, it's Jack.
Yeah, okay. You know what? If he wins the race here, I'll put some money on it. Like, the guy can drive. I've watched him in some pretty basic, unmodified cars, V8s, and he's done a really good job. And so if he's used to a big V8 moving around, a little car like this, I think he's...
You think you'd adapt pretty quickly, don't you?
Yeah.
You think it'd be easy to come out of the big car, go to a smaller car rather than vice versa. But we'll have to wait and see. So Diesel Thomas there in the 33. TFH Formula RX-8, of course, TFH hire supporting this category as well throughout the series this year in 2024, and we've still got 4 more rounds to come your way as part of the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series. We're just kicking things off for the first round here at Sydney Motorsport Park, and the clouds have covered the sun up, but yes, tonight we go live on our broadcast under lights. Yeah, look, nice toe there. We'll see if he...
Okay, so that'll start his lap with a nice little boost, because he'll probably get an extra 6 or 7 Ks down the straight with that toe. So let's have a watch and see which car was that? One of the TFH cars. So, it's Diesel Thomas. Let's go, buddy. Okay, so now we know which car the Diesel Thomas is in. So, he's in a factory car, let's call it.
Is that what it is? Yeah, I think it's...
He's in a factory car, TFH, sponsoring the series as well. So, sponsoring the TA2 series, sponsoring the Formula RX-8 series, and
a couple of cars on each as well.
Yeah, correct.
So pretty busy man, isn't he?
Yeah. So obviously, TFH is owned by Brett Thomas and his son Josh. I don't know where Diesel fits in. I wonder if he is. I know he's related, but is he a cousin or a younger brother?
I feel like it's somewhere along those lines.
Yeah. I did hear in an interview with Josh Thomas last weekend when they were down at Phillip Island in the other series in Trans Am. He said that he forgot Diesel at the hotel or something. So there is some.
He wasn't talking about the transporter then.
No. So I think there's something in that. I was only half listening, if I'm honest with you. So that's something my wife will tell you I do often. But Diesel Thomas is doing a great job. He's done a 51. He's only 4.4 off. Justin Lewis, Brock Payne's moved up as well.
Brock Payne, I was just trying to bring this to your attention there. He is now 600s off of Justin Lewis there. So he's made a big move there, just giving it a few laps there. And you spoke about him earlier. He's a young talent and he's been behind the wheel of quite a few cars there. And now just starting to get into the groove, I think, and try and push that car a little bit forward there. And you can see him up on our screen too. I think that's the 33 right behind him. He's just having a little bit of a look.
Well, Diesel Thomas made a big gain there in that last one. So, that's Brock Payne there, seen the other factory car.
Yeah.
So the top 4 have actually made a bit of a break from the rest of the field. So Thomas Derwent is the leader of the next batch of cars. So and there's and that's a pretty tight battle between all of those guys. But they've got about a good second or 3/4 of a second to find to get into that top 4. Who seem to be a little bit more dominant in lap time. Devijac's got a fastest middle sector coming on, so a little bit off in the first sector, so he's probably giving away a little bit of time on this lap, so he's not probably going to threaten that top 2, but he will improve his time by the looks of this.
Unfortunately, I was just looking back there in the back of our screen on turn number 5. It looks like Bill Harris might have had the car parked up there, the number 12. So it's going to be a good weekend. We've got Brad and Bill Harris. So we see the B Harris up there.
Yes.
Number 12 will be Bill, and the number 74 will be Brad Harris up on our screens. We'll check that one out. Here we go. It looks like the number 71.
Yeah, that's Steve Devijac. Yeah. So he's just completed that lap that he did a purple middle sector on. So he improved his time by a 10th. I think he was probably hoping for a little bit more than that, but he lost 3/10 in the last sector, but he was nearly 8/10 off in the first sector, so he must have made a little mistake or not committed. We were talking about the commitment through turn 1, but that commitment also is also through turn 7 at the back of Corporate Hill there. You need to be pretty committed there and pick the throttle up nice and early, and then the other one is in that final sector, which we would affectionately call 10, 11, 12, but nowadays it's 9, 10, 11. So, because in the old circuit here at Sydney Motorsport Park, there used to be a little kink before turn 6, and so you'd have 6, 7 in one, and they removed the kink, and you've just now got turn 6. So it's some of us older guys, we still find it hard to call turn 8. We still call it turn 9.
You're saying people that did laps in their younger years, people that did early in their career?
I wasn't young back then either. I'm showing some age. So, So
we spoke about Rob Bowden earlier. There you go, the number 15 up on your screen here at the moment as he comes around the Formula RX8 car. And Bowden there now in 5th position. So he's letting his skill do the talking out there on track, and that's no...
I think Justin Lewis has set another lap time because
1:47.
He's now 2/10. Wasn't it a bit closer than that?
Yeah, it was a little bit earlier. So yeah, he's just improving slightly now. He's got Ryan Gorton in his back pocket there because he's down there helping set the car. He was a former national champion in these cars as well. And I believe he may be stepping into the car for race number 1. We might see Justin Lewis come up in the commentary box and talk about some of these fantastic cars as well.
So he's going to put it on pole and then not racing.
I think they're going to share a little bit of driving duties this weekend. Obviously, Justin Lewis has been very instrumental in forming the Formula RX8 Cup Series, so I think he's quite happy just to really kick it off here at this inaugural round and make sure everything goes nice and smoothly. So, look,
this is Bowden.
It's still a fast car, though. You know?
Yeah.
And Ryan Gorton, I mean, that's a name when it comes to racing these cars, or any car in particular. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes. But,
checkered flags out.
Well, this will bring the end of the qualifying sessions. They come around and finalise his lap. Will we see Bowden have one more run at it down there?
He's got a green middle
sector.
sector.
He's not going to get the screen there, though, from Harris.
Yeah, he's a little bit too far back for the slipstream, but he's got didn't even get a personal best in the middle. He did improve his lap time ever so slightly, but didn't improve his place. But
the question is, all Payne's just gone to pits. I'm going to say, is Payne going to come around and finish this lap off as well? I just wasn't quite sure if he was going to get that done.
There's no one really on a green sectors in the first couple, so that pretty much looks like that'll almost cement the qualifying as where they are. A couple of guys did, get their PBs on that last one, like we talked about. Bowden did, Harris did, so did Connell and Vickers as well, and Reeves and Hall and Newton all got their personal bests on that last lap. So there was obviously still grip in the tyres and the track at the end of that session. So good to see. Diesel Thomas finished up in 12th, so good on you, Diesel. The kids will be happy that the pup's going all right.
Yeah, the pup's still going all right. The young gun, you reckon? We'll wait. See, Liam Hall will now come across and finish the lap. We'll see how Hall ends up in this one. He's currently sitting at 17th. I don't think he's not going to improve here on the time sheet.
Again, when it comes to racing with these cars, being a bit underpowered and the slipstream. Oh, there's the Harris you're talking about. He looks like he slid into that wall there. He's
probably
probably
got
just
the door cracked. I mean, there's a nice cool breeze out there. You're in your race suit. It's not exactly cool sitting in there with no air coming over you.
So that looked like that was between 4 and 5. You could see the South Circuit pits in the background there. So it looked like it was between 4 and 5. Actually, quite a smart driver there. Put it out of the way. Let the session continue green for the duration, so that
think about
no red flag.
15 minutes qualifying. If we're going to get a tow truck out there, I mean, they're probably just going to push him off into the South Circuit area there. But I mean, that's a little bit of work to be done, and doesn't want to hold the session up for the rest of the drivers, especially when we've got we've qualified 23 cars potentially here at the moment. So we'll wait and see how that goes. But they're a bit coy this morning. A few of them didn't have their transponders on when they did some practice laps earlier, and I reckon they kept a little bit of time in the bag there just to see how that all unfolds here in the TFH Hire Services Formula RX8. Their inaugural round here as part of the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series at Sydney Motorsport Park, and it is slowly getting dimmer out there. I know the clouds have covered the sun up for most of the afternoon. I couldn't believe it when we looked at the weather forecast yesterday, and they said, mate, there's going to be rain here at Sydney Motorsport Park. And this morning you looked up and said, what are you talking about? Like, it is sunny, it is beautiful, it is a gorgeous day here in Sydney. Here we go, our Formula RX8 Cup results from qualifying. Justin Lewis sitting up the number 1, followed by Brock Payne, Steve Devajak. Terry Lewis is there in 4th, and it's Rob Bowden 5th. Thomas Derwent, Brad Harris, Ivan Vantagiato. Did I say that? Yep. Jeff Connell and Stacey Vickers will round out our top 10. And it goes to Ben Silvestro, Diesel Thomas, Shad Hasten, Braden Taylor, Leslie Reeve, Jason Galler, Liam Hall, Jacob Mayer, Martin Welsh, and Arton Philippi.
Yep, so the young Anton there, like I said, he's got a little bit to learn around this circuit, so maybe I'll have a chat with him.
That's experience, isn't it, really, when it comes down to it. What I like about these cars, too, is a few of them came down on a Tuesday night here for just a track night. I mean, it's a...
Are they?
Yeah, the cars, obviously they don't go through a lot of fuel. You're not using a lot of tyre on them all the time. So
great aerial shot there of Sydney Motorsport Park, looking very green out there, so... It's not often you get to see a nice little drone shot like this of Sydney Motorsport Park. Drones aren't that easily permissible, around racing circuits. You actually need to have an aircraft license of some description to fly these things. So
it is a great shot showing you all the racing that's coming up tonight. But as part of the Hi-Tec All Super Series, we caught up with a brand new car and a driver that we've seen here previously, Brad Gardner.
Oh, Braddy.
Brad Gardner, 2024 is a brand new season of the TO2 Muscle Car Series, and you got a fresh new look. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so we've got Hi-Tec oils coming on board this year, fresh Chevy Camaro, so really keen to get in that and, you know, working with a few new people this year, so I can't thank George, the whole Hi-Tec oils family for coming on board enough.
Last year, there was a couple of moments there, the car had some big incidents and things like that. That takes a big toll on the budget. What's it like having a sponsor like Hi-Tec oils come on board for this season?
Yeah, so for us last year it was probably one to forget, the first half of the year, but that's character building. Still got myself out there, obviously had a good run at Calder Park, but some big damage that wasn't all necessarily my fault. Some with a brake failure at QR and sort of that, all that sort of stuff. So having George come on board is definitely a big thing for my career to be able to continue on.
Who's carried over from last year as well, supporting you in the background?
Yeah, so we got my local guys, FoxSports Royal Supplies, Med Electrical, Southern Auto Body, Palm Family, Michael and Kirsty Palm, and Max and Kate from MP Auto and Air Conditioning. So yeah, can't thank them enough.
Now, it's not all about just having a fantastic car to start the season off, you know, fresh new car, it's all ready to go. You also got to have a little bit of help in the background now. Tim Brooks is in your garage this year. Tell us a bit about what he's doing for you.
Yeah, it's really cool to have Tim come on board. Obviously, he's got a lot of experience in these cars themselves and just racing in general, obviously with the 86 Championship and all that sort of stuff. Obviously done a lot with Dylan Thomas last year in these exact cars to win the championship. So hopefully he can bring a bit of life to my racing itself and yeah, keep on with that. Really good.
It's been a few months since we've been behind the seats in this. You had a bit of a test day recently. How did that feel in the car?
Yeah, the test day was really good. We just obviously run through the basics, all the systems checked and me getting comfortable in a different car and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it was really good. And obviously in the off season we with the opportunity from Peter Robinson, we got to head over to New Zealand and run 2 rounds over there. So that was a really cool opportunity to keep myself in a seat.
So what's the goal for 2024? Like, where do you want to see yourself at the end of the season?
I'd be lying if I didn't say I'd obviously want to win a championship. Coming off the back of last year, I think any place is a good place. We just want to stay consistent, not have the car junked up. So if we can just finish every race, would be a good goal there.
Look, it's going to be a big year for you. You've been obviously busy in the paddocks. You're a farmer by day. What's that like when you come off the farm and then you're at a racetrack the next day?
Yeah, it's good. I'll say it's hard, but yeah, if Dad watches this, he'll tell me online. So it's cool. We work a couple big hours, and summer's big for us with the harvest. But no, it's really cool to get to the racetrack. Feels like a bit of a holiday, but yeah, we've got to get to work as well.
Well, good luck this weekend, and congratulations on the brand new car. We hope to see the pointy end at the end of the season.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yes, a big addition there to the Hi-Tec Oils Racing Series, and we'll see the Hi-Tec Drift All-Stars tomorrow morning. Yeah, they'll have a live stream coming up as well for the drifting here at Sydney Motorsport Park. So George Gambino, not just supporting the series, decided to get involved. I mean, you can't keep out of car racing at all.
He's unbelievable. Actually, George sponsored our cars for a long time as well. We had him on board with our Toyota 86 program. And yeah, he's a great guy, you know, really passionate guy, and does very selfless guy. You know, like when you speak to George and what he does for the sport, very selfless. So really appreciate what George does, not just for the competitors, but for the series. I mean, without George and Hi-Tec Oils, this series and the TV that's behind it isn't what it is. So wish Brad really well. He's a good guy, and he's going to go well in that new car. A little bit of setup to be done, but they've got Timmy Brook who helped me out. So,
Brooksy did all right for you, mate.
Yeah,
I think he'll be good.
Brooks is pretty smart. But right now we've got the XL, so let's have a look at the qualifying on that. Where 12 minutes ago into a 15-minute session. So
look, that's just a taste of what's to come. I mean, these guys like to use all the on-track and off-track sections here. The Australian XL Series, supported by Nankang and Max Pappas Industries, of course, this series. Great to see them all coming out there. And I mean, there's some young racers in this one as well. They range everything from guys who are just trying to stay in the sport, having a good time, to these people who just want to do weekend after weekend of racing with an XL. And I mean, you really can do that with some of these setups in this car. I suppose the XL Series is very different. We get these cars that are built on a budget in the shed, and we've had them built by professional race car teams like DJR and Triple Eight Racing. So there's a broad range of cars in the category, but you know, when you're talking 100 horsepower engine, if you can find 1 horsepower by finding the right set of pistons or the right head, because I mean, it's all stock. I mean, but you know, you think about years ago, you could buy these cars for next to nothing. You could buy engines.
Pick them up on the side of the road being abandoned.
You could get engines from the wreckers for, take a 6-pack in there and get them. So there's there's accumulation of parts between all these races, and you know, they're looking for that 1 horsepower advantage as well as some setup. And I think again, it's how hard you really want to drive the car. As you can see, up on 3 wheels, we see them through the corners here at Sydney Motorsport Park. We saw that last year as well. They really start to twist the car up, and they're stiffened up with that roll cage and everything in them.
Yeah, so and everyone's got the same roll cage as well, which is good, and I believe they do anyway. So, but yeah, as you say, really stiff, which is why they lift that wheel. I've come through a lot of one-mate categories in my younger years, if you like, and you know, one of the cool things about that is actually getting involved. You talk about, you know, finding that 1%, you know, go in and flow benching, you know, well, back in those days, carbies and heads and barrels and what, you know, where can you get a little bit of performance gain? It's actually quite a lot of fun as well, learning about cars and doing that. So these guys are not only building good race cars, they're actually building a little bit of mechanical know-how, what the cars do, how to make them fast. Okay, old mate's got a bit more performance than me. How do I get more performance? He's, you know, and then even still, he's got a bit more performance. But you know what? Maybe my car's not as good on horsepower. Let me give it better drive off the corner so I can try and, you know, be a couple of Ks off the corner better than him, which means I'm, you know, 5 or 6 Ks down the straight a bit faster. So it's not always about power, or sometimes it's about how you get the drive to the ground as well.
Yeah, a bit about racecraft, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like Blake Tracy obviously sitting there number 1. You can see up on our screen there on the right-hand side, the white car, followed by Waghorn, who's second when it comes to the timing at the moment. We step back a few seconds to 1:55.13 there for Tracy. They're a different pace to what we've seen out on track so far, but take nothing away from what they do in these cars, because we do see them go 3 and 4 wide down the main straight here coming through turn number 1, and you do not see them back off at all. Their front-wheel drive, it's slightly different, but
which, saying the front-wheel drive part, that's also why they don't back off, because if you back off on a front-wheel drive car when she's getting a bit of a loose rear on you, you back off, it's going to rotate on you. So when the thing gets loose, that's when you drive it harder. So with a front-wheel drive car, and as you say, when they're a little bit underpowered, it's also a little bit less scary, because if it goes wrong, it's slower. You know, when you're in a fast car and it goes wrong, everything happens real quick. But when you're in a slower car, when something goes wrong, you've got more time to sort of catch it, and it's like it's not you know, lock to locks in quick succession.
It's a bit different when they're 4 wide on this, and that's what we saw last year when we came here for our final round. They were sorry, not for our final round, for our penultimate round here at Sydney, and under lights again. They were just like 4 wide, and they're bumping each other, they bump and grind, you know, the old NASCAR saying, you know, rubbing is racing.
Well, 4 wide, when they start to get a bit loose, they actually straighten themselves back up off each other's you know, tail end.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, Aussie Legend, the Legend cars, right? They can go 4 wide, there's room on the track. There is no room with an XL 4 wide down the end there. We'll wait and see how that all unfolds here as we get on with the race. Jaden Smith in the 25 Zenith car just getting around here, and we'll start a fresh lap at Sydney Motorsport Park here, going through turn number 1.
So fastest in practice earlier today was Tyler Collins, who's our reigning series champ. He did a 54.8, so they're a little bit off of that at the moment yet, so we probably should expect that time to come down a little bit more. I would imagine that, you know, practice would have been done on old tyres, and I would assume at least the top half dozen of these guys would probably put greens on. Being first round, you'd probably expect everybody to have a set of greens. You know, a little bit more budget racing, the XL, so you probably find that as you go down the series, maybe the back half of the field might run, you know, a set of tyres round to round and get a few rounds out of a set of tyres to save some bucks. But being round 1, you'd reckon that everybody would have a set of greens.
A fresh season, fresh tyres.
Fresh tyres,
that's it. You get them out there and see how they're going.
So,
Collins has been very fast throughout last year's series. Took out the championship, of course. Not too far behind. I mean, we're only talking 0.6 of a second, just under.
Yep, Toby Waghorn was there. He's in second. He was second earlier as well today. So, you know, he's carrying on that form. Blake Tracy was third earlier today, and he's a little bit further back than where... Oh, no, he's up there in the polls at the moment. So with 5 minutes to go, Blake Tracy's doing a great job with a 1:55.0. It's always painful when you see a time with a 0 afterwards, because you always want to get into that next sector bracket. It's like a 55.0. Geez, like what, you know, I could have made a 10th here. I could have made a 10th there. So those boys will be looking for a slipstream, as you can see here.
And that's what it is, and this, you know, like it's, you know, I got you down the slipstream, I got past you on that lap. Next, you know, next little bit of a straight, you get a slipstream off the other person. They exchange positions so much throughout the racing. I think that's what we love about it.
That was the top 2 working together there too. So that was both Blake Tracy and Toby Waghorn. They were working together through turn 1 and down the slipstream. So those 2 guys are probably, you know, sitting in the top 3 as Tyler. They were sitting in the top 2 as Tyler Collins just made a move up to second. But those 2 guys are working together. Here's Collins now.
If you think he knows he's got the camera on board, he's got High and Pop on there on the dash. He knows what's going on.
Still loose at the far around the exit there, so not backing out at all. Using a bit of gear braking there.
Yeah. Can't be a lot of RPM left on that one, I reckon.
Yeah, you can see you got the analog dashes there, so still got a digital dash, but probably just a little lap counter, lap timer on the steering wheel there. Nice little green luminals in there, so very basic setup, which is always cost effective, which is what you want for this category. So
yeah, coming out of 4, it's the transition here as they change direction. Sometimes the cars really unload, especially if they get over a ripple strip. It falls off a little bit too there coming out of 5, doesn't it?
Yeah, I was just listening into his throttle pickup. He was pretty committed there through 5. You can hear a little bit of tyre chatter there as well, so he's got a bit of understeer. Most of the cars I tend to drive tend to have a bit of oversteer through that corner, so interesting to hear him have a bit of understeer. I think, normally you'd have a car a bit on the oversteer side for speed, but I suppose being a front-wheel drive, sorry, I'm just listening to his car and his inputs. So, yeah, so he's been in a front-wheel drive car. They've probably got him set a little bit on the understeer side because an oversteer car in a rear-wheel drive would probably be a little bit, in a front-wheel drive would be a little bit scary. Oh, this guy's going to be riding his way here, right on the apex. Yeah, that's going to hinder his entry in there. A lot of apex, which is the best way to take the final sequence here. He's working pretty hard on the wheel, so he's got a lot of throttle pickup. And yeah, where you talked at turn 5, he had some push on the way out there, but that's because he had the throttle on and he really wanted to. He's on the fastest lap here. He's looking for a tow there, looking to pull him behind.
Any advantage, isn't it? We're talking.
I think he'll do it. Ready?
Hundredths of a second.
I thought he was on.
Tracy is still holding on there. It is now down to 48 10,000ths of a second. That's a 0.0048 of a second, Collins. He's in second position, but he's on the front row of the grid at this point.
He is. And, he's... Oh, hang on, we've got Waghorn with the purple first sector here, so, we could see what he's up to here.
Yeah, there's still a couple of laps left in this one for qualifying session number 1. Just over 2 minutes remaining.
Here's Waghorn here. He's got a car in front of him here, so if he times this well, he's got a purple first sector. He's actually probably planned this really well. If he gets that pickup of that tow right at the right point as he comes through 6 here now, he'll get a good tow down the front straight, and this will move him right to the front. So he'll go from 3rd to 1st because he's actually in a pretty good position here. Nice run through turn 7 there. Good braking into 8. The car looks nice and stable there. A little bit wide of the apex, but not too bad. Let's check out the sector as it comes through here. 42.8. Oh, he's lost a little bit on that middle sector there, so not a personal best, but yeah, let's see what he gets on this tow. If he gets a really cracking tow, because he's right there, he's hustling.
He's buzzing.
He knows he wants it. Good exit, not as wide as I think it's Tracy that's in front of him actually.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So he's actually in the tow there, so this is going to help him. Yeah, look, he's sucked up a little bit.
We're holding. Can he do it? Can Waghorn go back
with
up?
With a minute 10 to go, he's definitely going to improve, I reckon.
154.79. Waghorn goes to number 1.
Like I said, he positioned himself well.
Has he listened to you? He's got the commentary on.
Mate, I just know what he was up to. And you know what? He's got a second lap in him here. Look, he's pulling right up to the back of Tracy here. So, Tracy with a little bit of a lock-up. So if Tracy pulls him wide, so if Tracy does a good lap here through the middle sector, he might even get a second tow and a second lap. So I wouldn't be surprised if this first sector is another purple first sector.
It's looking like that, isn't it, up on our screens at the moment?
I reckon it's a 33.5. Let's see what happens here. You ready? It's about to go over. And 33.7. But it's purple. I called it.
It was 200ths of a second faster than last time. So that's a big difference there. It looks like most of the others might be starting to drop off on their times a little bit. Maybe they've
22 seconds to go.
Happy how they're going. Yeah, who's going to come across the start finish line and get one more go?
Waghorn's car is actually quite pointy as well. He gets the nose in. If you watch him, when you look at Tracy in front of him, he sort of drifts a bit wide, whereas Waghorn's getting the nose in really quite well here. So he's going to lose a bit.
More settled than doesn't Tracy's car, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, it's just more pointy. So it's probably just whether you like a bit of understeer or a bit of oversteer. See how wide Tracy is there, and locking fronts there as well. I think this is going to hurt both of them now because, yeah, look again, Tracy's way wide there. That's a strike lap there. Yeah, both of them are off. Oh, it's actually not that far off. 48.1. That's actually a pretty. That's better than what Waghorn did in the middle sector last lap. So he's actually, if this is nice and clean through here, he could.
The problem is
look how tight he is.
Is Tracy going to hold him up?
Well, they could still work together.
He might work together here.
Don't jump out. Push him a bit further. You'd almost sit on the bumper and just push him.
Yeah,
I reckon he's going to improve his time here. I reckon Wagon's going to improve his time here. Ready?
I don't know with Tracy. That might be struck that time. We'll have to wait and see how far.
There you go.
That goes better.
Yeah. Wasn't much, and it was a purple middle final sector there as well. So yeah, I called it both. So see, and the other thing Collins has got not going for him. Look, he's working by himself. He's got nobody in front of him. So.
But have a look at his second sector. That's fast.
Yeah. So, but again, that's not the high speed. That's the technical side.
Yeah.
You'd have to say, oh, missed gears. Oh, he won't be happy with that.
He knows that lap's off for him already. Final lap here. The checker flag has gone in qualifying session.
I don't think he was going to get it anyway.
Series supported by Nankang.
But you know, the encouraging thing for Collins there, for Tyler Collins, last year's former champion, he's the fastest in the middle sector. Well, he's not the fastest because Tracy got it, but he's pretty quick in that middle sector. He's just about matched the fastest middle sector time, and he's had no toe, and he's not far away. He's only 4/10 off with no toe, both starting or finishing the lap. So, and we know that
how much difference that makes. I mean, you put Tracy and Collins side by side. Seeing Tracy was leading out there, and they are within 1/100th of each other.
Yeah.
And Waghorn got the toe the whole time, and
yeah.
he's the only one that's really stood out when it comes to those top three in qualifying.
Yeah,
so.
but even though he's 4/10 up, you could actually say that those three guys are actually probably matched in pace. Because Waghorn did absolutely get a toe both start and end of that lap.
So Collins is going to get a toe off the start now. He's going to be behind him when it comes to the start of this race. It might be a little bit of an advantage there. Let him have a couple of laps while the tyres get a bit of temperature into them. And then, just use that toe to try and get by. As you can see, Tyler Collins there going into the pit lane now. And they'll get their car back and prepped for racing a little bit later on this afternoon. Of course, we do go to our live coverage from 6 p.m. on SBS and Fox Sports. It's coming up after 6 o'clock, but we'll see our Australian XL Series race number 1 just before 7 p.m. tonight. Let's have a look at how the qualifying results are in the end. Toby Waghorn there in number 1 with Blake Tracy in second, and Ty Collins rounds out your top 3. Goes back to Caleb Patterson, Joshua Richards, Jaden Satan, James Simpson, Kobe Tucker, Brad Verica, and Edward Mitchell will round out our top 10.
James Simpson last year in a TA2. Good to see him in the XLs.
Josh Trappett in 11th and Lincoln Evans in 12th. Joshua Shelley and then William Wallace in 14. Now, we know there's a few cars out there might not have made it out to a qualifying session because you can see the list here. Who knows we've had any breakages out there. I have seen engines change in the pits here at Sydney Motorsport Park with the XLs. They really push these cars to the limit, especially gearboxes and clutches and things like that. Dylan Thomas, you have to go and prepare yourself for a qualifying session coming up just after 6 p.m. tonight. I mean, good luck, and we hope as you're the reigning champion, you can get out there and give these younger fellas a bit of a push out there in qualifying.
Yeah, the nice thing, I've got nothing to prove. I'm just going to have some fun.
Yeah.
All right, I'll see you back afterwards.
Great to have Dylan Thomas here in the commentary box here at the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series. Now, talking to Dylan Thomas, who's just leaving here to get ready for qualifying, he went out on track earlier to show us how to get around Sydney Motorsport Park.
Welcome to the CXC number 1 racer, TA2 Mustang, for a hot run around Sydney Motorsport Park. As we come onto the straight here, we go through the 4-speed dog box. Eastern Creek, the Sydney Motorsport Park, is a kilometre long. We try and get to 100 metre board, about 250 k's an hour. Brake, turn in, lift off the throttle, back onto the throttle hard, about 217 k's, mid corner, 120 k's, hard on the brake, through the gears, back to first, hit the first apex, rotate it, grab the second apex, really important, hit the second apex, to open up turn 3, come out through turn 3, nice and straight, with a good run down to turn 4, Turn 4, a little bit of an early braking, back to second gear, a little bit of trail braking to hold the car to the right to open up turn 4. Turn 5, we'll get a good run, watching that we're not too wide, otherwise you'll get a penalty there for track limit. Okay, turn 6 is always one of those corners that's going to give you a little bit of oversteer. There she is. Hold the limiter up in a 7. Just touch the limiter there, a little bit of brake. Hard on the throttle on the exit. Back to first. Big brake zone. Turn in, let's concentrate without it over-rotating. Get the apex, lower the throttle wing up. A little bit of a grip. And the final complex here, really fast. Okay, try it. Back to second. Hit a lot of curve on the over the third section. Get it all open. Little tap of the brake, get the nose in. And get a nice good strong run onto the straight. And hopefully on a green set of tyres, you'll be doing around about a 1 minute 33 because you're really good at 132, and you'll be pretty stoked with that.
Oh, it's great to have Dylan Thomas going to that lap, and you can tell he wasn't out of breath at all throughout that lap either. He was just holding on. Another day in the office for Dylan Thomas. He really loves trying to get these great muscle cars around the track, and look, they move around a fair bit. You can see them, but great you can see the track preview there and see exactly what we're up against as we can start to see the sun setting in the background here at Sydney Motorsport Park. It is cooling down. There's a chill coming through the commentary box, and we are about to get underway with our Australian Super TT qualifying session, joined by some Stock Cars Australia as well. So this one's going to have a mixture of cars throughout, and of course Australian Super TT, tin tops. It's basically cars that you see getting around out on the street, converted into a little bit of a race car setup there. Michael Ricketts in the Pulsar, the giant killer when it comes to him. Of course, he's got the George Cox Motorsport preparing that car for him, and I think he probably does the most laps out of any racer in any field, because he just seems to be racing weekend to weekend out there, and he's a really nice guy to go and catch up with if you do get the chance from Michael Ricketts here. But a couple of categories in the Australian Super TT. Of course, you are going to have the under 2 litre class, then we've got the treaded tyre and the slick tyre, and then we go the over 2 litre class with the treaded and the slick tyre as well. Now we're going to see a big difference here with the stock cars joining the party here this weekend, because they are the NASCAR-inspired cars, I suppose you want to look at the utes, the sedans. But look, if you love your NASCAR, it's going to be a bit of a history lane when they go through some of those cars. They're going to make a lot of noise, and they go very, very fast. We see a little bit of smoke coming off the Ricketts mobile. I don't know if that was a tyre rubbing possibly on that car. I hope that's all it is. You can see it pick up that inside left wheel, rear wheel there as it goes around the left hand and turn up the 5. Ricketts quite fast in that car as well, as we get underway with our Australian Super TT qualifying session. 12 minutes left on the clock in this one, so they've spread themselves out a little bit. It's Viola at the front of the grid at the moment there when it comes to our times. It's Charlie Viola in the Carbon Racing Track School Honda Integra. So look, the Hondas are very fast out here. Get a bit of VTEC going. See how fast they can wind them up. Look, you won't like that if you're a stock car, really. You know, you got 358 cubic inches of V8 power on board, and the little 2 litre of Michael Ricketts and the young car wash and Pulsar just comes by and says, hey, I'm not slowing down for your big cars. I am coming through. Watch out. And listen to it scream as he goes through the gears. I don't know what George Cox does with these engines, but listen to it go. Nice nimble little sedan too. The Pulsar Racing Series was very popular throughout its time, and I believe Michael Ricketts did a fair bit in that. Still gets around, uses this car for some winning 300s as well, so he does quite a bit of work behind the wheel. Like I say, there isn't a weekend go by where I don't think Michael Ricketts doesn't get behind the wheel of that race car. One of our former TA2 cars has come to the Super TT category as well. It's good to see them getting around, just being part of it, really. And we love having every car possible here throughout the Hi-Tec Oil Super Series as possible. And here we go, Stock Cars Australia there. The ute is out and about. Of course, that is the number 51 of Brendan Hourigan, a name we're synonymous for knowing throughout the Legend Cars Australia. We're going to see Brendan Hourigan getting out there. The Silverado. Great to have them back there. I mean, we've got some fantastic names when it comes to the Stock Cars Australia. We'll have the Air Falcon driven by James Hollier, formerly raced by Rodney Jane, and the Goodyear Thunderdome. That's what I mean about these cars. They've all had moments at the Thunderdome. It's a really historic. We were at Calder Park Raceway for our final round of the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series of 2023, and if you wandered over to the Thunderdome, it was like walking into a bit of Australian motoring history. Really had that feel about it, and you know, you could almost sense the glory days of these cars getting around. You can see the number 17 in their stock cars. Gregory Morris there. Sorry, that's not Gregory Morris. Actually, I'm going to be looking at the other sheet. We've got a few cars getting through here with the Super TTs and the Stock Cars Australia combined throughout this one. Looks like the 777 of Jones now. 140, 009 for Jones there. Seems to be our number 1 qualifier. Michael Ricketts in the number 41 car. 4th fastest at the moment with a 145.7. So we'll see him, stock cars now going to try and have a bit of a go, see what times they can put down. You expect down that main straight, it's going to be with their big advantages with all the horsepower. So it's Miles Jones in the RMR Air Ride air conditioning Honda Civic now as their number 1 qualifier, Jones, and we'll see if he holds on to that one there. Ooh, Bell now going through in the 370Z. And now he has done quite a few laps. We saw him get around there, Bell. The 101 car. All thanks to Race Pace Motorsports, the 370Z. We'll see another one of our Stock Cars Australia. Oh, they're going to be light, really, aren't they? The Unity slides the car around there. Just waiting to see if, oh, wow. How can he go under brakes here? This is the difference in the cars. Danny Burgess, it isn't that number 7. This one here is the Oz truck, Brent Mitchell. Now currently sitting in second fastest for Mitchell there. As he gets around the corner, 140.7, so 0.7 of a second behind Jones. Wait, see if he can improve on that time. So some purple sectors, and Mitchell does have one in sector number 3 last time around, but didn't get quite fast enough to take the number 1 position off Jones. Oh, the Falcon going to be hard under brakes here too. We will see that get around a little bit later on. Michael Ricketts, the young car wash entry though, just getting another lap under his belt. Moved back down to 7th fastest at the moment, which is unfortunate. Edwards there, well, he's just gone into 5th fastest. Unfortunately, the Falcon has had a big move off and just found himself a little bit of agricultural driving out there on the dirt at the moment in the number 18, all thanks to Cable Source and the XR6. It's going to be another heavy car, that one. Let's watch that go around. We'll have to wait and see. It's always going to be brake fade as we get a little bit later on as the racing continues in the Australian Super TT Series, because we'll wait and see how he holds on. They're going to be coming up against some great racing later on here throughout our coverage on SBS and FoxSports. It's 22-minute races for them a little bit later tonight. A bit more than what we've seen from the 15-minute qualifying session, which is down to just 2 minutes at the moment. We'll have a look at a replay here, and Edwards, just a bit of a wiggle under brakes there for a moment and might be trying to avoid a lockup. Doesn't want to leave a blemish on those tyres, so now's a good time to use up that moment and try and get that off the track. He's still up there in the pointy end though, and we'll wait and see if he can hold on to 5th position. He's probably going to get another lap under his belt there and see the 88 car go by of Panna down there in a 152. So the little MX-5 going to be racing in that under 2 litre category. We'll have to wait and see if we've got the treaded tyres on that one as well, because there's so much going on for Dennis Panna now. He's here with the Powerhouse Tune and Race next to Hi-Tec Oils, the MX-5. And we do have a couple of MX-5s planning on taking part in the series this year, so we might see them. We might see a couple others. Chiara Libertakis is going to be out there as well, and Hannah obviously giving her a little bit of driver training throughout the time. Chiara has been very, very, I suppose, natural behind the wheels. So she's got into racing. We did have her down at our opening day here down there at Winton Motor Raceway, and she was out there doing some fantastic laps, just getting some more time behind the steering wheel there, and wait to see how she goes in racing a little bit later, because I'm just having a look as we head down the list a bit. We'll see where Chiara's actually ended up there in the 21. She's down in 11th position, so just outside the top 10 against some really stout names. Some much bigger and faster, potentially faster cars out there. Still a 140.0097 for Jones is up the top as we, it's such a contrast, I think, in the cars here between some of the big V8 cars. We come down to some of the really nimble, light cars, and that's our number 1 qualifier up on your screen, the 777 of Miles Jones and the RMR Air Ride Air Conditioning Honda Civic. Nice under brakes, the power to weight really levelled out here, and he's got the back wheel up in the air, and Michael Ricketts will be wanting to chase this one down. It wasn't someone he came up against last year as he dominated the under 2 litre class, Michael Ricketts. And we'll wait and see what Jones can do here for Miles. That is out in front. Purple sector times in 1 and 2 as well, so he's starting to improve. It's down to 42.17 in sector 2. We might see him tip into the 130s here. Can he do it as he goes down the straight? Does he get it done? We'll wait for the times to come up here on our screen. 139.72, knocks 3/10 off as a checkered flag. He's out of the back now. That'll be the final lap from that time there, and it's great to see the number 10 that time just move over and make a little bit of room there in the Pulsar, and some of the stock cars come screaming through. Love to see these, really historic liveries. The Budweiser on the side. Of course, Richard White driving it this weekend for Richard White Racing in the Monte Carlo. And this is the longest serving car in SCA history in the Stock Cars Australia too, the number 8 there. They are just fantastic to have out on track anywhere. The noise that it brings, it's how that thing just goes through your eardrums, really, when they're wide open, throttle down this final bit. They're 3 wide here as we finish up qualifying session for them. Wow, I can hear them in the background live, and they are sensational as they head over to finish off this qualifying session there. Wait and see how it all unfolds here. There's still a couple of cars to come over the finish line. VF front on this year too, so got a bit of a modern look there. And we'll see a lot more technology coming to some of these cars. Some of them have been around for quite a number of years, and some, well, they're starting to modernise. They can go a little bit faster as we have a look at Sydney Motorsport Park as the sun sets in the background and the lights are starting to come on. Miles Jones will be your number 1 qualifier in the Australian Super TT qualifying, combined with the Stock Cars Australia. And it's Brendan Hourigan, Brent Mitchell, Danny Burgess, Richard White, Brent Edwards, Jeff Stubbs, Ryan Bell, Robert Marchese, and Michael Ricketts made it into the top 10 in that little pulsar. Then it's back to Joshua Robbins, Charlie Violia, Chiara Zenitakis, John Angoliola in 14th. Then it's Daniel Natoli, Jake Frisch, Daniel Stubbs, David Bunton, Louise Wazoo, and Dennis Panner will round out the top 20 there for the MX-5 as well. So Dennis Panner's got a little bit of work to catch up to his little proteges, Chiara, who's a little bit further up there in what looks like to be about 13th position there. So we'll wait and see how she goes. We are about to get a little break here for everyone at the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series before we head over to our live coverage from 6 p.m. on SBS and Fox Sports. So make sure you tune in on Fox Sports 506, obviously KO Sports, and you can tune into SBS as well through their app and check out all the racing from the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series from 6 p.m. this evening. We've got some fantastic racing coming your way. Of course, the TFH Hire Services Muscle Car Series, framed by Hi-Tec Steel Framing. The TO2 Muscle Cars are back. The Legend Cars Australia, the Australian Production Sports Cars, Formula RX8, Australian Super TT and Stock Cars will be back. And then, of course, the Australian XL Series. It's not too far away. We'll see you here tonight. Make sure you join back in.